As I stood at the bustling streets of Nanjing, my mind buzzed with excitement and possibilities. The air was thick with the smell of street food, and the vibrant colors of lanterns illuminated the night. I had already tasted the thrill of exploration, yet deep inside, I felt an insatiable itch for more. It was time to push further, beyond the familiar chaos and into the sublime beauty that lay in the heart of Tibet and Taiwan. The decision to venture to Lhasa was both exhilarating and daunting. A place steeped in mystery and spirituality, it beckoned to me like a whisper from the ancient mountains. I could almost feel the pulse of the Himalayas calling me closer, urging me to discover the secrets hidden within their majestic embrace. But I also felt a wave of apprehension. Was I prepared for the altitude? Would the culture shock overwhelm me? As I wrestled with these doubts, I knew deep down that this was a journey I had to take. I spent countless sleepless nights planning my itinerary, reading travel blogs, and scrolling through images of awe-inspiring landscapes. I envisioned standing under the shadow of the Potala Palace, where the Dalai Lamas once ruled, its white and red walls telling the stories of centuries past. The thought of witnessing the mystical energy of Jokhang Temple, where pilgrims prostrated themselves in devotion, filled my heart with enthusiasm. I also plotted a trip to Sera Monastery, eager to observe the vibrant debates between monks that seemed so alive with passion for knowledge. As I mapped out my adventures in Tibet, another destination tugged at my curiosity: Taipei. What lay ahead in this vibrant city? The thought of stands bursting with exotic fruits, bustling night markets, and the striking Taipei 101 tower soared in my imagination. I longed to taste the famed beef noodle soup and explore the diverse culinary scene. Yet, insecurities brewed within me. Would I connect with the local culture? Would the language barrier trip me up? The thrill and fear danced within me like the flicker of streetlights on a dusky evening. Finally, the day arrived, and as I boarded the plane toward Lhasa, the anxiety morphed into anticipation. The seats around me were filled with people working on their laptops or engrossed in conversations. I felt alone, but not in the forlorn way. Instead, it was invigorating, a tender reminder that I was on a path toward freedom and self-discovery. I opened the window shade as we began our descent, and my breath caught. The rugged mountains sprawled beneath me, majestic and infinite, their peaks kissed with white snow like a crown. I had never seen anything so stunning. Stepping off the plane, the thin air hit me like a wave. With each breath, I was reminded of the altitude, but I resolved to push through. Lhasa unfolded before me like a painting. Afternoons spent wandering the streets filled with prayer wheels and incense, evenings in silent reflection over tea while the sun dipped behind the mountains. The colors around me were vivid: deep reds, bright yellows of the monks' robes, and the earthy hues of the bazaars. I felt like a character in a story that was just beginning to unveil its many chapters. My first visit to Potala Palace was akin to stepping back in time. As I navigated through its vast halls, I marveled at the artistry that surrounded me. The ornate carvings, the intricate tapestries, and the powerful shrines dedicated to divine figures. Standing at the rooftop, I gazed out over the city, enveloped by the vast expanse of the Tibetan plateau. We were storytellers amid a breathtaking canvas, and I felt the weight of history rather than the pressure of expectations. As the days folded into each other, I found a safe haven in Sera Monastery. The sharp clang of monks' arguments echoed through the air, a melodious and chaotic symphony that both impressed and intrigued me. Watching them debate was a peek into a lively battle of wit and wisdom, and I soon found myself lost in the dialogue of shouts and laughter, their passion evident in every gesture. Yet, as I immersed myself in Lhasa's profound roots, the thrill of Taipei hollered to me from afar. The energy of the city reverberated through my anticipation, and soon it was time to leave the mountains behind. My flight to Taiwan unveiled yet another world, bright and bustling, laden with indulgent flavors and vibrant sights. Touching down in Taipei felt like entering a different dimension. The sweetness of mango shaved ice was soon followed by the tantalizing aromas wafting from the night markets, where I navigated through a maze of stalls presenting an array of culinary delights. To stand in the pulse of a city that thrived with a unique blend of modernity and tradition was mesmerizing. I admired how ancient temples coexisted alongside towering skyscrapers, symbolizing the beautiful dance of history and progress. On my quest to reach the pinnacle of Taipei 101, I gazed out at the sprawling city below, the streets alive with activity. From this height, I could see the rhythm of life. People bustling to and fro, the smatter of scooters weaving through traffic, and waves of lights flickering on as dusk settled. I felt a moment of clarity. The doubts that had haunted me prior to my journey were mere shadows, easily dispelled by the light of experiences. Amid all the places I sought to explore, I carved out time to learn about the world of tea. I visited local tea houses where I was taught the delicate intricacies of brewing the perfect cup. The elegance of the tea ceremony mesmerized me, and I felt a profound connection to a culture that valued patience, mindfulness, and simplicity, all lessons I yearned to embrace as I continued on this path of discovery. Each adventure solidified my belief that the world was an intricate web of stories, cultures, and lessons waiting to be uncovered. I was just a traveler on the journey, piecing together what it meant to confront insecurities, embrace beauty, and connect with others who shared the same love for exploration. As I settled into each new environment and acknowledged the fears that had once gripped me, I learned that every adventure, every obstacle, was an opportunity to grow. With each moment in Lhasa and Taipei, my heart swelled with gratitude. There in the shadows of craggy mountains and urban marvels, I found my longing for adventure and the unexpected magnificence of embracing the unknown. The journey became a testament not only to the places I encountered, but also to the internal voyage that transformed the way I viewed the world and myself. Realizations unfurled like petals blooming under a gentle sun. Adventure, in its purest form, was not about conquering peaks or checking off lists. It was about opening oneself up to the experiences, both beautiful and challenging, that shape us, connect us, and remind us to keep wandering in search of more. As I stepped off the plane in Lhasa, Tibet, a rush of emotions flooded over me. The first thing that struck me was the crisp, thin air that filled my lungs, unlike anything I had ever experienced before. It felt both invigorating and intimidating, and I took a moment to gather myself, feeling an odd mixture of fear and exhilaration. I was finally here, at the foot of the Himalayas, and the dream I had nurtured for years was about to unfold. The airport was modest, a stark contrast to the sprawling terminals I was used to. As I walked through the arrivals area, I could see the faces of travelers reflecting a range of emotions: awe, joy, and in some cases, uncertainty. I felt the weight of my own doubts creeping in. Was this the right choice? Would I find what I was looking for, or would I be lost in this unfamiliar land, grappling with the language barrier and the cultural differences? Leaving the airport, I stepped into the bright sunlight, and for a moment, the beauty of the surrounding mountains took my breath away. Lhasa lay beneath me, a city steeped in history and vibrant culture. I could see the Patala Palace looming majestically in the distance, its iconic silhouette a visual anchor that would guide me through my journey. The sight filled me with inspiration, as if the very essence of Tibetan spirituality was calling out to me. I felt my heart racing, and the fear momentarily faded, replaced by an overwhelming sense of adventure. The streets of Lhasa were alive with a pulsating energy, a blend of locals and travelers weaving through the colorful market stalls. As I wandered further, I was enveloped in the aromatic scents of street food, the surprising warmth of the local people, and the sight of Tibetan prayer flags fluttering in the breeze. My senses were alive, as every corner held a new story waiting to be uncovered. Although I felt alone in this vast sea of humanity, I was oddly comforted by the presence of others, all on their own journeys, each searching for something different. Despite the initial joy, self-doubt began to emerge again as I tried to navigate the streets. The signs were in a language I couldn't understand, and the unfamiliarity of my surroundings was all-consuming. I found myself standing still, watching the locals speak animatedly with one another, and I felt like an outsider looking in. The fear of being lost in translation weighed heavily on me, but the desire to explore overpowered my anxieties. I decided to embrace the unknown and immerse myself in the culture, trusting that the experience would unfold as it should. I stumbled upon a small temple tucked away in a quiet alley, its brightly painted walls vibrant against the stark backdrop of the mountains. I felt drawn to it, and as I entered, the gentle hum of chanting filled the air. I closed my eyes and inhaled deeply, allowing the energy of the space to wash over me. It was both an emotional and spiritual experience, and I couldn't help but shed a tear, feeling the heavy weight of both happiness and sorrow. I realized that this journey wasn't just about exploring a new land. It was about confronting my inner self, grappling with everything I had left behind, and discovering who I was meant to become. As I emerged from the temple, the bustling streets welcomed me back, each person a potential friend, each conversation a possibility. My steps became more confident, and my fears began to dissipate. I engaged with a street vendor selling steaming bowls of noodle soup, and the smile on her face reminded me of the power of connection beyond words. We shared laughter, gesturing with our hands, and although we spoke different languages, there was an unspoken understanding between us. It was a pivotal moment that ignited a fire of hope within me. Lhasa was not just a destination. It was a canvas for my emotions, a place where fear transformed into courage and uncertainty blossomed into inspiration. Each day began to feel like a new chapter, overflowing with experiences waiting to unfold. I learned to trust my instincts, to lean into the unknown, and to find solace in the beauty that surrounded me. With every step I took, I felt a little lighter, my spirit lifting as I embraced the experience of being completely present in this awe-inspiring place. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I climbed a small hill that offered a panoramic view of the city. From up there, Lhasa looked almost magical, the rooftops catching the fading light. For the first time since my arrival, I felt a profound sense of peace wash over me. The fear and doubts that had clung to me like shadows had been replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. Lhasa was not just the beginning of my journey, but a reminder of the strength I possessed to navigate both the outer world and the depths of my own soul. I looked out at the horizon, feeling the warmth of the day giving way to the cool evening air. The world felt wide open in front of me, filled with possibilities and potential. This was my moment, fear and all. I embraced it willingly, knowing that whatever lay ahead, I was ready to face it. The journey was just beginning, and I was ready to dive into the heart of Tibet and uncover its many secrets, allowing Lhasa to guide me as I ventured further on this life-changing path. The first steps I took in Lhasa felt surreal. The crisp mountain air carried a light chill, filled with the scent of burnt juniper wafting through the narrow streets. I wandered through the bustling markets adorned with colorful stalls. Vendors shouted in voices that danced between excitement and urgency, enticing customers with their vibrant wares, handmade trinkets, intricately woven scarves, and an array of spices that tickled my senses. The air was thick with the tantalizing aroma of yak butter tea, a staple that both intrigued and intimidated me. As I navigated through the labyrinth of this ancient city, I was faced with the hum of unfamiliar sounds, the rhythmic clattering of prayer wheels, the low murmurs of locals as they shared gossip and laughter, the occasional thrum of traditional music emanating from nearby shops. It was a symphony of life, a melody that was foreign yet oddly comforting. I felt like an outsider looking in, each voice a reminder of my place in this vibrant tapestry of culture. Adapting to my new surroundings was a journey in itself. I made it a point to try the local delicacies on offer, despite my trepidation. At a small eatery, I tentatively tried momos, steamed dumplings stuffed with spiced meat and vegetables. My taste buds ignited with the burst of flavors, each bite melding into a new experience of warmth and spice. One culinary discovery led to another. Thukpa, a hearty noodle soup that embraced me like a warm blanket while the cold air nipped at my skin. As I savored each dish, I gradually immersed myself in the local customs surrounding mealtimes, observing how families gathered and shared their meals, their laughter infusing the room with warmth. Yet, the excitement of cultural immersion often collided with the reality of loneliness. In those quiet moments, when I retired to my modest room after a day of exploration, the solitude weighed on me. My thoughts spiraled into reflections on home, on friends and family who felt oceans away. I would close my eyes and imagine the sounds of laughter, the familiar cadence of voices that used to fill my days. They felt like ghostly echoes in a vibrant, yet distant world. Navigating language barriers added another layer of complexity to my journey. Simple exchanges, like asking for directions or ordering food, sometimes became daunting tasks when my requests were met with puzzled looks or rapid-fire replies in a language I barely understood. I sought help from strangers, using gestures and smiles as my primary tools, often stumbling over the syllables of simple phrases. Each effort was met with patience from the locals, who smiled encouragingly as I awkwardly mumbled my way through conversations. In these moments, I learned the importance of trying, of breaking through the facade of shyness to connect with the very essence of those around me. The joy of understanding even a few words became a tiny victory, each exchange adding another layer to my building confidence. My challenges did not end with language. I encountered situations that pressured me to confront my fears. On several occasions, I found myself lost in the maze of Lhasa's streets, circling the same corners while the sun dipped low on the horizon. Panic would rise within me, but I learned to pause and breathe, to embrace the uncertainty rather than let it consume me. I would gather my resolve, approach a local, and muster the courage to communicate my plight, relying on the kindness of strangers to guide me back to familiar ground. Each time, I emerged not just with directions, but with a story to tell, a reminder that vulnerability fosters connection. After Lhasa, my travels led me to Taipei, where the vibrant city hummed with an electric energy. The bustling night markets were a whirlwind of color and sound, each stall beckoning with incandescent lights and savory aromas that danced through the air. The scent of grilled meats, sweet desserts, and bubble tea enveloped me, an intoxicating melange that urged me to explore deeper. I was initially overwhelmed, but I embraced the chaos, allowing the rhythm of the crowds to sweep me along. In Taipei, the challenge of cultural differences intensified. I found myself grappling with the rapid pace of life, contrasting the tranquil skies of Lhasa. The local customs felt quick and fluid. Conversations moved swiftly, and the din of laughter and chatter surrounded me like an embrace that I awkwardly tried to fit into. With each passing day, I learned to attune myself to unspoken social cues. With each shared meal, street adventure, and simple exchange, I continually absorbed the lessons embedded in the local culture. Despite moments of self-doubt, my travels bolstered my resilience and adaptability. I began to appreciate the beauty in the unfamiliar. Each interaction, whether mundane or profound, wove me more closely into the fabric of the places I visited. The lessons learned in Lhasa laid the foundation for my experiences in Taipei, intertwining my journey with a sense of purpose. Through it all, I discovered that the essence of travel is not solely found in the breathtaking views or the vibrant landmarks, but in the intricate connections formed with people and the courage to step into the unknown. Challenges became less intimidating, the unfamiliar morphed into opportunities, and I emerged with a greater understanding of both the world and myself. The lessons of Lhasa and Taipei lived within me, reshaping my perceptions and deepening my appreciation for the intricacies of human connection. With every new destination etched in my memory, I took another step on this journey of exploration, a journey that would ultimately lead to a richer understanding of the world, forged through the tapestry of diverse cultures and shared experiences. As I embarked on my journey to Lhasa, Tibet, I was filled with a mix of excitement and a little trepidation. The thought of standing in the heart of Tibetan culture, with its rich tapestry of history and spirituality, was exhilarating. My flight took me over vast mountain ranges, and as we descended, the landscape transformed into a mesmerizing vista of rugged mountains and sprawling valleys. Upon landing, the sheer beauty of my surroundings took my breath away. I could already sense the unique atmosphere that pervaded this land. My first stop was the iconic Potala Palace. Perched high on a hill, the palace is a stunning example of Tibetan architecture, its red and white walls glistening in the sun. As I climbed the steps, each one felt like a passage through time. Inside, the grand halls and intricate murals spoke of centuries of history and the authoritative presence of the Dalai Lamas. I was particularly captivated by the serene yet powerful statue of Avalokiteshvara, surrounded by the prayers of devoted visitors. Wandering through the many rooms, I could feel the weight of spiritual significance that filled the air. Later, I ventured to Jokhang Temple, the spiritual heart of Tibetan Buddhism. Walking through the narrow alleyways leading to the temple, I observed pilgrims circumambulating the revered site, their murmurs mingling harmoniously with the sound of the spinning prayer wheels. The temple itself was a labyrinth of devotion, adorned with ornate shrines and sacred relics. When I finally entered the main hall, the sight of the golden statue of Buddha Shakyamuni was awe-inspiring. It was amazing to witness the fervent devotion of the local people, their tears and smiles reflecting their deep connection to their faith. As I explored the vibrant streets of Lhasa, I came across the bustling Barker Square. It was a sensory overload, fragrant incense, colorful prayer flags, and the laughter of children playing nearby. I joined the throng of locals and tourists as we navigated the market stalls. The vendors were a delight, offering everything from hand-woven textiles to intricate jewelry. I purchased a beautiful Thangka painting, which now serves as a cherished reminder of my time in this enchanting place. One of the lesser-known spots I discovered was the Sera Monastery. Just a short drive from Lhasa, the monastery is renowned for its lively debates among monks. As I settled in to witness the practice, I was struck by the intensity and enthusiasm displayed by the participants. It was a fascinating blend of rigorous intellectual pursuit and spiritual fervor. The atmosphere was charged with energy as monks gestured animatedly, their voices rising and falling in rhythm with their arguments. This experience gave me a more profound insight into Tibetan Buddhism and its teachings. The journey continued to the tranquil shores of Lake Nantso. The mesmerizing turquoise waters reflected the sky, creating a breathtaking landscape that felt otherworldly. The journey to the lake was an adventure in itself, with winding roads cutting through majestic mountains. Once I arrived, I found a peaceful spot to sit and meditate, soaking in the stillness that surrounded me. The sheer vastness of nature here was a reminder of our place within the universe, a humbling experience that resonated deeply within me. After Lhasa, I set off for Taipei, Taiwan, a vibrant city that contrasted sharply with the serene landscapes of Tibet. My arrival in Taipei was met with the bustling energy of the city, illuminated by neon lights and filled with the tantalizing aroma of street food. I eagerly made my way to Taipei 101, the iconic skyscraper that towers over the skyline. As I ascended to the observation deck, the panoramic view of the city below was breathtaking. The vast expanse of urban development surrounded by distant mountains was an impressive sight, and I stood in awe, feeling small yet connected to the vibrant life unfolding below. Exploring the cultural sites of Taipei, I found myself at the National Palace Museum. The museum is home to an extraordinary collection of Chinese art and historical artifacts, many of which date back thousands of years. I spent hours roaming through the galleries, captivated by exquisite pottery, intricate carvings, and detailed paintings. Each piece told a story of China's rich history, affirming my eagerness to learn more about the complexities of its past. One of my favorite experiences was visiting the Shilin night market. It was a sensory feast and an opportunity to immerse myself in local culture. The market was bustling with people, and the sounds of laughter and chatter filled the air. I indulged in a variety of Taiwanese delicacies, from the famous stinky tofu to sweet pineapple cakes. Each bite was an adventure, an introduction to the unique flavors of Taiwanese cuisine. I even tried my hand at a few games at the stalls, relishing the playful atmosphere and the joy of friendly competition. While in Taipei, I also made a point to visit the serene Longshan Temple, a place of worship with a history dating back to the 18th century. The temple was adorned with intricate carvings and colorful statues. The air was thick with the smell of incense. As I walked through the tranquil spaces, I witnessed locals engaged in prayer, their faces reflecting a deep sense of solace and hope. The harmony created within the sacred walls was palpable, providing a stark contrast to the lively streets outside. One of my final adventures in Taipei took me to Yangmingshan National Park. I hiked through lush landscapes, enveloped by colorful flowers and the songs of nature. The fresh air invigorated me as I made my way to the peak, where a breathtaking view of the city awaited. Standing atop the mountains, I felt a sense of accomplishment and serenity wash over me. This connection to One afternoon, as I wandered through an artisan market, the joy of the colors and sounds enveloped me. I spotted a man playing a soulful tune on his guitar, surrounded by a gathering crowd. His music resonated within me, and for a brief moment, I felt as if I were part of something larger. I approached, drawn in by the notes, letting them soothe my fears and feelings of isolation. Suddenly, I found myself lost in the moment, forgetting the chaos of the city around me. I made eye contact with strangers standing nearby, smiling as we all swayed to the rhythm. This was the turning point. I realized that while there were moments of loneliness and danger, there were equally moments of connection and joy waiting at every turn. Each new encounter held a lesson, a glimpse of understanding into the complexity of urban life. Life here was a tapestry of experiences, woven with threads of laughter, music, and sometimes fear. I came to appreciate those contrasts, recognizing that they shaped me, allowing me to grow stronger and more resilient. Through it all, I learned the value of reaching out for support and finding strength in vulnerability. Each friend I made, every challenge I faced, and the beauty of spontaneity only added to my journey. I let go of the illusion of control, embracing uncertainty instead. When I almost gave up, something unexpected pushed me forward, a smile from a stranger, a song on the street, the warmth of a new friend. In this city of dreams and challenges, I discovered that true adventure lies in navigating both joy and fear, just like a melody interwoven with silence. The symphony of life continued, and so did I in the heart of Lhasa, Tibet. I found myself standing before the majestic Potala Palace, its red and white facade towering against the backdrop of the deep blue sky. The air was thin, both exhilarating and challenging, and as I adjusted to the altitude, I felt an unusual mix of anticipation and trepidation. This was not just any trip, it was a journey that promised to shake the very foundations of my perspective on life. The first couple of days passed in a whirlwind of colors and sounds, as the vibrant markets buzzed with merchants selling everything from hand-woven yak-wool scarves to colorful Thangka paintings. I wandered through the narrow streets, my senses engulfed by the distinct smells of incense and delicious Tibetan food. Monks robed in maroon and saffron passed by, adding a touch of spirituality to this ancient city. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and cast a golden hue over the Potala Palace, I stumbled upon a hidden monastery on the outskirts of Lhasa. Its entrance was modest, almost unnoticeable, but something about it tugged at my curiosity. I stepped inside and was greeted by the serene ambience, punctuated only by the soft chanting of the monks. They welcomed me warmly, offering butter tea and inviting me to join their evening prayers. I felt a profound sense of peace wash over me, a feeling I hadn't experienced in a long time. During my week in Tibet, I immersed myself in the culture and traditions of the local people. They shared their stories of faith and resilience in the face of adversity, inspiring me to reconsider my own challenges. One particularly poignant tale was that of a young girl named Pema, who had devoted her life to caring for stray animals in Lhasa. Her compassion seemed boundless, a stark contrast to the hectic competitive life I was accustomed to back home. By the time my journey led me to Taipei, Taiwan, I had amassed a wealth of experiences that reshaped my worldview. Landing in Taipei was like stepping into a vibrant kaleidoscope. The streets were alive, the night markets beckoned with their tantalizing aromas, and the friendly locals exuded warmth. I was eager to share my reflections on Tibet and learn how their culture would enrich my newfound perspective. As I explored Taipei, I visited religious sites that mirrored the spiritual awakening I had begun to experience. One night, I found myself at Longshan Temple, a haven of tranquility amidst the urban hustle. The intricate carvings and flickering incense offered a spiritual escape. It was here that I encountered a group of locals engaged in deep conversation about the significance of life transitions. Their discussions prompted me to reflect on my own journey. Days turned into weeks, and each experience layered on another, culminating in a sense of clarity I had never felt before. I realized, however, that I was still chasing something greater. My wanderlust, combined with the teachings I'd absorbed in Tibet and Taiwan, led me to consider my next destination, a place known for its rich history and unyielding spirit, Machu Picchu in Peru. As I began to prepare for this next chapter, I received an unexpected message from my friend Tom, who I hadn't spoken to in years. He was in Peru and had secured permits for a special guided trek around Machu Picchu, an experience he described as transcendent. My heart raced with intrigue. This trip could deepen my understanding of ancient cultures and their inherent wisdom. However, just as I was about to book my flights, an email from a local Tibetan monastery arrived. They invited me back for an initiation ceremony, promising a profound, life-changing experience. It was a crossroads, a mystical journey in Tibet or the adventure of a lifetime in South America. The pull of both places threatened to tear me apart. In the end, I realized that the choice wasn't just about travel. It was about the path I wanted my life to follow. I felt an undeniable connection to the spiritual awakening in Tibet that urged me to dig deeper, while the allure of Peru called for adventure and exploration. I took a moment, closed my eyes, and listened to my heart. In a twist of fate, I decided to journey back to Tibet first. The initiation ceremony proved transformative, one that intertwined the past and future into a single thread of purpose. After the ceremony ended, I felt a sense of completion but also an exhilarating anticipation for what lay ahead. Months later, I finally touched down in South America. As I hiked the Inca Trail, every step resonated with the knowledge and insights I had gained. Suddenly, the trek led me to an ancient site, but instead of Machu Picchu, I found myself in a lesser-known ruin surrounded by lush green mountains and untouched nature. Hidden there were remnants of a civilization long forgotten, a testament to the journey hidden within my own heart. Revelation struck me. The path of enlightenment and discovery is not always the most popular or visible route. Sometimes it's about becoming attuned to the subtleties that surround us. And with each person I met, and every culture I encountered, I understood that my journey was never solely about the destinations, but about the ever-unfolding quest for deeper understanding. As the sun set over the horizon, illuminating the ruins in a warm orange glow, I couldn't help but smile. My next adventure awaited, one that would unveil connections and teachings that might lead me back to Tibet or perhaps to another unexplored corner of the world. The thrill of uncertainty excited me as I whispered to the mountains, "Where to next?"